All right. Apparently that intro video was not as long as I normally make them. Anyway, hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we continued working through the complications presented by allowing Festival Buddy to have more than one quick guide per festival, which is definitely desirable in something like Midsummer, where we have Minas Tirith and Further Home. So today we're gonna look what's happened since the stream last week by doing some commits to source control. We're going to finish up as much as we can, and if we still have time, we will release it. So let's start by saying hello, Further Home. So, what is the state of the plugin right now? Let's go ahead and pull it up and take a look. So, one thing that we can do is go ahead and just manually go to the Midsummer Festival. And within here, because this festival has quick guides, there is a quick guides button now. It used to say quick guide, but now it says quick guides. And that will pop open a window. Now I've just reset all my plugin data before the stream. So this is what a fresh opening of Festival Buddy gets you. Now one thing we can do is come in to the plugin manager, and it always catches me if I don't do this. So escape key closes Festival Buddy windows. No, thank you. And we can come on down to the quick guide and double check its settings as well. So we're going to look at the Minas Tirith. Everything is selected. We're going to look at Midsummer, Further Home. Everything is selected. This is the default state, and then you can deselect things you're not interested in. Okay. And then depending on whether you want to do Minas Tirith or Further Home, you'll pick one of these two. And then we're going to spot issues. So in celebration, Further Home doesn't use helper functions. Okay, so there are some helper functions that help apply consistent formatting within a quick guide. And we can change those by going into the options, and at the very top here, we can come on up here, and the enable colors section, we can see that all quest names are currently highlighted as a blue color. And if we come in here and want them to be more of a red color, then all of this text gets updated. And under the covers, that's because the text they're not hard-coded as strings to be done. They're stored as functions that get evaluated whenever we need to update the text. And part of those functions involves looking up the current state of this color and formatting the string with that color. And so because we're not hard coding these texts, and because we're kind of annotating different parts of the words, like Title Treasures is annotated as a quest. And Aroma is annotated as an NPC. And so we can go ahead and mark, if NPCs are that color, all the everything marked as an NPC will get updated. But we can see that Captain Cataphos, the Cracked Flagon, Celebration Midsummer, these in the very first one are not being done correctly. So that was just the note that I was making. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with look at all that. Okay, great. I was trying to track down these things that we're seeing right here. And what I would like to do is come on in, failed to look up, and get a better write-out. Because we can see in the tree node, what we would like to do is, this is if the checkbox do all tree nodes have checkboxes? Well, the very last one and the button don't. Okay, so we're making a tree node here, and it's going to have a checkbox. The reset one, though, is reset. So yes, all of these where is reset is true. Maybe. All right, what's the is reset do? Can I use that reliably? Yeah, it looks like. Because I had a reset node and then I added a credits node and I wanted them to be like treated identically. Oh, I want to share what I'm looking at. Okay. So, looking at the code, we had this logic, which was trying to help me track down, in this case where an objective was not being found, I was having issues. And it turns out each of these failures is because we're trying to do something to one of these two nodes here, the reset button or the credits, because they're just added as elements to this list instead of being always visible at the bottom of the window. They're just at the bottom of the list. So they're only visible if you have an empty list or scroll all the way to the bottom because you want to see them. So the update node text here was failing because it was trying to do something with an objective and it was not finding it. Now, is that a problem? So what we should say, if tree node dot is reset, then return end. And I think we'll stop seeing this message. But let's go ahead and instead of going to the plugin manager, I'm just gonna type it in our say window here. So slash plugins space unload space festival buddy, all one word, and then slash plugin space load space festival space buddy space II, all in quotes. Okay, so we were able to see that though by changing colors. So let's go ahead and change some colors. Okay, so quest, we've got lots of quest there, so we'll go ahead and change that. Great, we're not seeing that message anymore. Awesome. So let's go ahead and fix this first issue that we see. So we're gonna come on in and coming into the quick guide strings for Midsummer. That's German, that is, oh, none of them. That's English and that's French. Great. So in the English, we can come on down here and say, aha, we have take and celebration in the blah. So let's go ahead and use the helper function, take from in, and we're going to take in celebration of Midsummer from Captain Cutafos in that cracked flagon. Great. So this should be a function, so it needs to be a function, return the result of that formatting function. So F2 says, hello, how do I update Festival Buddy 2? My version is 2.15, not sure if that is the latest, and I can't find an update button. So I have been slow on actually putting out this release during this Midsummer Festival because, while I do have a Midsummer guide, I already had a Minas Tirith guide, and putting them both into Festival Buddy required a lot of code changes because I foolishly wrote this originally with the idea that there was one quick guide per festival. Actually, I originally wrote this with just the Midsummer guide, and the idea was, okay, festivals can have a guide, and it didn't take. It wasn't until too long when I got to an In the Gale Association where I was like, oh no, I can only include one of them. I guess I'll include the one that I use, which is a hunter-assisted guide, but that's not optimal. And now we come around to here where mixing together Minas Tirith and Furtherholm together in one guide did not seem like an optimal choice. Not only from that, but also the default view of the quests in a festival is just alphabetical order. So you had a cure for all ills, a flock of seagulls, aiding the stable hands, arranging arrangements, artistic direction, assisting the cook, building castles, cat conundrums, floral crowns, right? Like it was all mixed together. And so I had to do substantial code changes, and now we can have separate guides, currently up to 3 guides, because it's currently, there's up to 3 buttons at the top here. But if we need to support more, we could switch to a drop-down menu or something else. But that's what's up. Maybe little tabs at the bottom, like in the deed log, where you click on a tab and that changes it. There's all sorts of games one could play. But That's why there is no update yet for Festival Buddy, because we are working on that. So let's go ahead and unload and reload the plugin. Now we can see Celebration Midsummer is highlighted as a quest. Captain Catafos is green, in the cracked flagon is red. So that's all great. And let's go ahead and propagate that change over to the other two as well. Oh, actually, those are probably fine because I was doing them more recently. But okay, we can see that one is take from in French. Take from in. So I had just forgotten to fill that into the English. Okay, so we're gonna run through this and look for any issues. And as we find issues, we will fix them. So in celebration of Midsummer, except. So we can see in celebration of Midsummer, it's still very Minas Tirith focused. I'm not even sure I like that helper text anymore. So let's think about what we will do to change that. One thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up the quest data and see if that inspires us for this. So let's go ahead and search Midsummer. Really? In celebration of Midsummer. Okay, really just want the one that's called that. Okay. Why is my phone making noise? Doesn't look important. Okay. Okay, objective. Participate in the celebration of Midsummer. And that's it. Objective 2. Now that's convenient. So we can go ahead, because these strings are in the game, they're automatically going to be available as translated in German and French as well. So that is appealing to me right now. So let's come on in to, I did want to kind of save off where we were. Okay. With this jaunty music as background, let us go ahead and sit ourselves down on a bench and go ahead and do some code commits. Okay. So what's been going on? Oh, 14 commits. Let's push some of those out. I'm not going to review the commits I've made since the last stream, if any of them have been made, but let's go ahead and review what's currently not committed in our source control. So one thing I was working on was revisiting Minas Tirith and applying some of the upgrades that we've had in other places. So for instance, delivering tasty morsels to each of these 5 NPCs. Before, it would just mark this off manually. Now we'll go ahead and do that. If you if you right click or select that NPC, we'll go ahead and mark it as done. And then, that was really it. So I guess I have been committing as we go. What do we have here? This is lots of Minas Tirith updates. Minas Tirith is now going to display progress, so like 106, 206, 306 in a lot of different places. And it'll detect when you interact with certain NPCs. Great. That's true for the German, and that's true for the French. Okay, well, so we'll be doing some of that. And then we're going to say updated Minas Tirith Midsummer Guide with newer features and conventions. So we're going to do something like that. Let's go ahead and find our README file. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go have that as something we can add to the README. Anything else that is related? Yes. These were new helper functions, so we're going to go ahead and bring these. And these were some new helper functions for formatting some of those. That's not to be committed yet. That's a bug fix. We'll get that shortly. That's a temporary fix. Hopefully it does not need to be pushed out. And then, okay, the temporary fix, that's comment. That's a new feature. We'll get to that. Well, no, we need that. Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and push that, or commit that. Let's come back in. This was thoughts for future design. Let's go ahead and move that somewhere else. So let's go over to GitHub. And coming into Festival Buddy 2. And we're going to store that in an issue if we don't already have it in there. Creating a tree instead of a list. I think I did that. Add visible time bar eating contest table. Didn't I do that? Oh well. That's for later. So what we want to do is go ahead and save this off. So, new issue. No? Am I not logged in? I'm not logged in. Alright, new issue. So this is the text. Change how quick guide entries are saved. So we're not going to worry too much about whether that's good commentary at the moment. That's for later us to sort out what's being said here. But it does mean we can go ahead and discard that and no longer be looking at it. This is a problem that exists because not every festival has a quick guide. And so we were running into a problem where the original code, which was selected festivals, selected quick guide, if there was no quick guide, that final one would fail and it would just be nil. So the conditional would fail. But now we're trying, oh, I'm sorry, just select a festival. If that quick guide targets of the selected festival, if the selected festival doesn't have any quick guide targets, no problem. There are none, so that if is going to fail. But then we're trying to delve into whatever is stored at that selected festival. And the selected festival doesn't have any quick guides. Then going into the selected quick guide for that festival, you'll be trying to reference into a nil. That's a problem. And so really any place where we're using these things should have that double check of if the thing exists, then delve into it. And so this is good, but I wanted to do a brief look at and see if there were any other places that seemed like would benefit from that. So this is already checking. If we don't have quick guides, then returns, let's fix, or that's okay. Objective equals this. So this is updating tree nodes. Do we assume that that only happens if... Okay, I think we're going to leave that for right now. Anything else? Quick guide when create node. So we're only going to be creating nodes if we have a quick guide. Okay. Okay, we're checking for if the top level has it, and so the rest of this function seems okay. Handles checked entry. So if something's being checked in the tree, by definition, we are in a quick guide that has entries, so that's fine. Quick guide when marked complete. I think that's okay as well. And then same thing. We're not going to be checking on entries if we're not in a festival that is having us do that. So I think that's okay. Here we have that check there, so we're good. Where is this function called? Nope. Where is this function called? In create node, okay. Objectives, we're already getting that behind an index, okay. I lost track of where it was. Progress, we're checking all of these things, and only then are we looking in here. And in here, target changed, okay. Well, that's the last one that we wanted to look at, and so filter target. Okay, so we're already checking here if there is a quick guide. But it wouldn't hurt to say, hey, if not that, then return end. We should only be called after a festival has quick guided check, but just in case. Okay. So good. We are good with the rest of that. So let's go ahead and commit this. So that is this. Did not need that anymore. And this. Added a few missing checks for if the current festival has a quick guide. Cool. So that is 1, 2, and the one we just wrote up 3. What else? Okay. Goodness. We have this. Now, let's go look. We're on quick guide win around 160. So I think we no longer need some of that. What else is in here? Okay, so the problem was I was trying to dump out the contents of the checkbox. And there wasn't a checkbox, and that was a problem. However, if we're not a reset node, then if checkbox, if not checkbox, then shell.writeLine tried to access tree node.checkbox, found nothing, exclamation point, return end. You know what, that can be its own thing once we start getting to 2 different statements. Okay, so if we don't have a checkbox, then that's a problem. Because if we get into here, well, anywhere really. Yeah, because we're going to try to use the checkbox. So at that point, we know that we do have a checkbox though. So in here, where we were doing checkbox get text, I no longer need to guard against what happens if we can't populate the text. So that's fine. And then I don't care about the tree node. I think we've solved that issue. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now we were missing a return here, and if that's a problem, yeah, objective. If we don't have an objective, then the access of objective.total, .display later on, and .height are all going to be attempts to access something through a nil value. So we don't want to do that. So that's fine to go ahead and return from this. And in fact, let's go ahead and group all of these together. And then go ahead and move this down. Cool. Do some initial checks. And then continue with the logic to add x out of y where if appropriate. Okay, so that's what's going on there. And here, I don't think we need the last bit there. Let's take a look. If the objective text is nil, it can't really be unless we've got bad data. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that now. Okay, so added, do a better job skipping reset nodes. Now, the real question is, how did we get in here? Shouldn't whatever's calling this care about the reset? We just go through all of them. Okay. I don't know why it wasn't having a problem before. That's okay. So that's that. And then that one is debug options. This one is a temporary thing, and there's our time functions. There we go. Okay. So we're all caught up. We have a clean working directory. Now's a good time to start making more changes. Okay, so in our quest strings right now, in celebration of Midsummer. Great. So we can go ahead and update this in some fashion. Okay, so that would be a way to adjust this is, oops. Say, take from faileth outside city stables or kept in Catafos in further home. And then 2, it's not taking 7 quests, although that is the next thing that you would do in Minas Tirith. 2 for this, as a quest guide, is what do you do? And that is complete 10 quests, right? Complete 10 Midsummer quests. I think that is a better example. And that's not even a 2, that's just a thing. However, I will say 1 and 2 might still be useful with something like this. But we would need a new map. Do we have a new map? We might. So, let's think about what we would want to do for a map. And let's go look at files for making this image. So we're going to come into Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, going into Plugins, Q Plugins, that's me, Festival Buddy, Source Files, and Quest Maps. So Midsummer Maps, actually if we come in... Yeah, that's fair. We would like to find a... Oh, there's the template there, okay. Sure, let's open up In Celebration of Midsummer. Okay, so it looks something like this. And so we know that this image is not very large. The canvas size is 262 by 147. But what if we went ahead and save as and search for Midsummer 2, the Midsummer Ring. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of the shadow under... Actually, we're going to get rid of all those shadows for right now. Is that 1 pixel or 2? 2, apparently. Okay, so we're going to kill the shadow underneath that. And the 2 we're going to move for a second. In fact, 1 is also going to get moved. And then we have need for a further home map. And we don't have a lot of pixels to work with. The actual size of this, if we came on down to 100%, is like that. So let's go ahead and we only need this much, I would say, at most. And if we brought that in here, it's huge. It's way too big. But if we take the image and we take that canvas size, and that's 262, and we go ahead and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and scale that. And that's going to be 131, so it's going to be half the size of this. What does that look like? It's actually a little bit too small vertically. Fascinating. But it would be half the size of the rest of this. Now, the rest of the Minas Tirith, we don't actually, if we squeeze it in half for this, it would be a little bit too small vertically as well. Is that true in here? That is all of it. Okay. But that's an interesting problem. Normally I don't have that much of an issue vertically. So let's go ahead and do this again. Let's go ahead and get the whole thing. And we'll use that instead. So we're going to delete that. Bring this in. And again, resize it. We're going to scale that layer to 131, half of the 162. At least I hope. Scale image, 262, 131, yeah. So that, so still, that's wild. Is it still not as tall as I need? Okay. Now let's make it as narrow as we can. Actually, we need it to be slightly wider than that because of the swimming spot. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Okay, so we've got that. Let's see. Layer resize to 131. Hooray! We've got enough verticality. I actually do think that's way too much off the coast, though. In order to know for sure, let's come on in to the game and let's get ourselves outside. And come take a look at the quest itself. So we're going to pick this up, searching for swimming spots. And we can see it is just southwest of that little protuberance there. So yeah, we have too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to crop this down to like something like that. Yeah. Now, it would be possible, in fact, possibly desirable, to make use of something like this. Now, do we actually go out any further east than that? Not really. Right, layer, scale layer, 131. Oh. Okay, so we definitely can be closer and still maintain those rings. That's fine. Okay, great. So we've got that. So we're going to go ahead and delete the ones that we don't like. And that is a half map for here. And now the other one for Minas Tirith, if we come on back to Gondor, Gondor, Minas Tirith, Midsummer, and then we can do something similar where we go ahead and get this. And this one, let's go ahead and crop that in. And we're going to do the sort of the opposite here. We just want to take the eastern part of this, or the rightmost part of this. So what I want to do is paste this in, and instead of cropping it vertically, we're going to crop it horizontally. So we're going to go to the scale image. We can see it's 147. So we'll call that 70. No, sorry, that's the exact height we want. So for this pasted layer, we're going to go layer, scale layer, height of 147. And it's going to be just wider than we need it to be. So that's excellent. And that will let us plant the numbers for this. Hey, Bettina Bowen is in chat. Hello! We're just doing some Midsummer stuff. Okay, so this is further home, small. This is, I really should say half. And this is Minas Tirith, half. Great. And then, so 1, now we can see these things. 1's going to come on over here, picking up the quest in Minas Tirith. 2 is going to come on over here, picking up the quest in the Cracked Flagon. And then we do need our shadow layer, so we're going to go ahead and I wish that worked. Delete those paths. We're going to go ahead and do text to path, and then we're going to do path to selection. Then we're going to go ahead and grow that selection by 2 pixels so that we can come in and fill in the shadows layer, and that just gives us our drop shadow around the text. There might be other ways to do it, but that's the way I know how to do it with this version of the GNU Image Manipulation program. So we're going to go ahead and call that good. So what we want to do is A, save that, and then B, let's go ahead and spit that out. So we're going to export that as, we're going to come on into Feasibility 2. This is going to go into the quest guides? No, resources. Resources, quest maps, we're going into Midsummer, and this is in celebration of Midsummer. So we're going to go ahead and replace that and take the default TGA values. So coming back in to here, what we want to do is in search of Midsummer, in celebration of Midsummer, sorry. Oh, hey, it's already picked up because it reloads the image when we come on over here. So we can see take in celebration of Midsummer from Phalith 1 outside city stables, or Captain Cataphos 2 in Further Home. Boy, wouldn't it be great if I spelled Further Home correctly? That seems like it would just be neat. E-R. Great, okay. Wisik says, it's close enough. Yeah, but if you misspell things here and then you're looking in the data files for where can I find further with you home and it's nowhere and you're like, nuts, I have a problem. And I do want to go ahead and have the number be before the thing that we're referencing. So from 1, Faileth outside city stables, or 2, Captain Cataphos in Further Home. Because inserting it in the middle like that, it's fine in English, but if I want to go easily translating to French and German, I think this is a safer way to go ahead and have them do whatever word order they need to do within that, and just right before it say 1, all of this, 2, all of this. Okay, so we're going to reload that, take in celebration Midsummer from 1, fail if outside city stables, or 2. You know what, we could do some new lines. Let's go ahead and do a new line there, and new line there. See how that looks. Or 2, Captain Catapults in further home. Complete 10 Midsummer quests. That's it. That's our new guide for In Celebration Midsummer. Fantastic. Now, we already searched to searching for swimming spots. And we can see we don't have a map yet. That'd be lovely to go ahead and fix. And we don't have text that describes what you're supposed to do. Now, let's do something about that. Searching for swimming spots. And we can see all I did is I just used that internal key as the default thing to put in. But we can do better than that. So for instance, what if we did go to the quest data for this? So searching for swimming spots. Great. So we know we need to swim at the west side of the harbor. So we're going to go ahead and do 1, swim at the west side of the harbor. We need to swim in the southern cove. 2, swim in the southern cove. And because we're pulling this directly out of the data files, this should be trivial to replicate for German and French. Will it be correct? It'll be no less correct than LOTRO is itself. Now, downside, it won't be automatically updated if they do come back in and fix something. But that's a problem for later. So swim off the western beach, and 5, swim off the southwestern beach. That's not the order I like to do it in, but that is the requirement. So what does that look like in the game if we reload that? There we go. Swim at the west side of the harbor, southern cove, northern channel, western beach, and southwestern beach. Actually, that is the order I do it in. By chance, perhaps. Okay, cool. Now we need a map. Now we already had a map up. Let's go ahead and see if we can't do something about that. We're going to go into Hradwaith. Internally, this is still called Festival Island, which I think is fantastic. And we need a map that is going to be 262 by 147 and contain all the bits that we care about for all of the quests if possible, because it's really nice to just reuse the same map over and over. So what we're going to do is maybe it'll be this one. Let's go ahead and get a little bit wider just so we can work with that a little bit more pixels if we need. So we're going to just close all these extra windows that have popped up and then get our snipper back. Okay, so we're just going to take a large snip of that. And then we're going to come on into our maps. Do we have... We do not obviously have. Okay, so this is, what did I say? 262, 147, great. We're gonna make a new one. And this is going to be the start of the further home. Now we can see that's not big enough, but, well, it's gonna be easier to edit this outside. Okay, so we know that we need to be about there. We know we need to be about there. So what if we took that instead? So let's delete that, come back in, and we know we need to be no wider than 262. So let's go ahead and say layer. We're going to scale that layer to 262, and then see if that works for us. It is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem because we can cut off the bottom. We don't need to go any further south than this beach, this cove, that's great. But we're missing the island that we do fishing on. And so we need to go narrower, which means we need it to be wider. So, okay, undo that. Let's go the other way then. Let's include the island at the north that we know we need. And let's include the beach at the south that we know we need. We're gonna come back into here. and instead do it the other way, where we know it's as tall as it should be. So we'll go ahead and scale the layer to 147. And now we are wide enough, so we're not missing anything there. And then we can just say what looks good. We don't need anything on either side, so we'll just go for what looks like approximately even. And then just for completeness, we'll go ahead and say image crop to no. Layered image size. There we go. Cool. So now we have a good starting point. So we're going to go ahead and save that and call it further home. So many wrong vowels. Template. Great. So we can just start from this one if we need to whenever we're working. And we don't actually need that background anymore. This is a nice solid background for us. There we go. So, but this is the general idea, and let's go ahead and get a sense of what fonts do we have. Console as a regular, size 20. Okay, that's fine. And cool. So let's go ahead and get started with searching for swimming spots. So we're going to go ahead and save this as searching for swimming spots. And we're going to start doing numbers. So we know that we should go ahead and include the pickup and the drop off. So we're going to go ahead and 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then so 1 turn in quest. And then 1 pick up quest. Now, I am assuming that we're following that convention already for Midsummer. Let's go take a look. So if we come into simple floral, pick up quest from Maryland on the Citadel. Yeah, and we can see because the map is for something floral. Where is that? Oh, yeah. So let's go, growing pains, pick up quest, do that, turn in, great. So for searching for swimming spots, we want the map to have 6 numbers on it. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, we're picking up the quest from her. That is there. Second of all, we need the swimming spot, which is in the cove. Third, we need the swimming spot in, this is the cove. Okay. Northern Channel, Western Beach. Okay. Oh, hang on. We know where this is. So just off that little bump there. Great. The next one is just west of that little bump. And then the final one is just southwest of that little open spot. There we go. Okay. So we do want to go ahead and have a shadows layer. Shadows. It's going to be a transparent layer. It'll be underneath all of those. And in fact, we can go ahead and have a new layer group called numbers. Or text or whatever. And all of these can go ahead and go in there. That way, if we want to show and hide the numbers altogether. But the shadows should also, number shadows should also be in there so that you can turn off and on the shadows when you're turning on and off the numbers. So again, how do you get this? If you select all your text layers, right click, go to text to path, you now have paths that you can go ahead and select those. And once you have that, go ahead, because we want this to be a drop shadow around the whole thing, go ahead and grow it uniformly 2 pixels out from there. Get your black color in and do a fill in the numbers, in the shadows layer. And there you go. You've got your drop shadows there without having to do them one by one by one. So that's going to be our searching for swimming. So we're going to go ahead and export that to our, oh man, I do not like the Linux style of interspersing the folders. if it is Linux. I don't like the style, wherever it's coming from. And quest maps, I want all my folders at the top. And Midsummer. Searching for swimming spots. Sounds great. So we're going to go ahead and take the default export setting. And coming in here, we can now take a look at... Maybe it's in the strings. In search... No. In Midsummer. Where is it? In Celebration of Midsummer. There it is. Okay. So we can see the way we do this is next to the string, we also have an image resource. Okay. So in search, is it right next to it? No, it's down here. Okay, searching for swimming spots. We have an image, quest maps Midsummer, and then we can just have searching for swimming spots. Cool. So for that, we will need to unload and reload. And now we have our map for in search of swimming spots. And hopefully we can see that corresponds pretty nicely with the actual rings here. So excellent. Let's go ahead and just do all of hers? Sure. Let's go ahead and look at building castles. Now, we also have no string there. We have a much vaguer sense of where these are over here, though. So, for that, let's go ahead and in the LOTRO companion, let's get rid of this here. And we'll... What is the name? Building castles. All right, building castles. So, I'm going to open a map that shows where each of the possible ones are. And we know that that's the quest giver there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible sandcastles down there. And that corresponds with my memory as well. So we're going to mimic this. Okay. So let's go ahead and say this was searching for swimming spots. That's fine. Let's go ahead and save it as whatever this was called. Building castles. Building castles. And so in building castles, we're going to start by undoing the shadow layer. Because those numbers are going to be in a different spot. And then we can start moving things around. One's actually the same thing because that's where we get that from. And I actually don't want to do numbers here. I just want to mark them, I think. Because if we come into one of the other ones, like, oh, I don't know. Oh, so many numbers. No. It could all be 2, but I'm not a big fan of that. I'm just trying to get some inspiration. Nope. Yeah, floral crowns. I like that. So let's go look at the floral crowns map and see how we did that. .1. Great. Looks like I did not say where I got that from, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and copy that and come on in here. This is building castles. Yeah. So let's go ahead and there we go. Okay. So .1, we'll call that number 1 so that GNU will automatically do number 2, number 3, number 4 as we go. We're going to go ahead and delete our other numbers though. And you know what? I shouldn't have deleted that shadow. That was my bad. But we're going to move that up slightly so that number 1 has a place to be right there. Wisik says, "Way to go, Pass Before for inspiration," and I completely agree. So let's go ahead and text to path this. We're going to go ahead and path to selection. We're going to grow that selection by 2 and go ahead and get that drop shadow back in there. Nope, can't do that. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just do our dots, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate that a couple of times. Duplicate, duplicate, and duplicate. And so We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that. And so, where did my quest go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So we want to do something like this. Okay, so one of them is going to be on the southwest side here. So just there. Number 3 is going to be somewhere down here. Oh, that's okay. Yes. So maybe a little bit further up. And then, okay. Number 4 should be over in this cove area, and number 5 should be down there. Really? All right. Okay, so that should look similar enough. I really thought the last end castle was a little bit further over, but yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back to the quest giver. So we have building castles. Let's go ahead and export that. And that's come in here to resources. Yeah, that was already in the right place. So building. Holy moly. Great, and that means we can come in here for building castles. And go ahead and bring in buildingcastles.tga, and then we're going to go ahead and say pick up quest. And then, what do we say for this one? Okay, so just continue. Pick up quest, continue at each. No. Be kind to ourselves. Building castles. Build sand castles on the beach. Great. Turn in quest. So, if we come into building castles, we get the location of the quest. We get the 5 locations to build the castle. Great. Done. What did I just minimize? Oh, that's fine. Wizard Twofoot says, "Where's that other map coming from? Is that companion?" It sure is. Let me back up and show you that. Now, one thing LOTRO Companion has is a funny way of managing its sub-windows. So I'm not always thrilled with how it does it, but it's fine. It's consistent at least. So when you have LOTRO Companion open, there is a explorer of basic data up here, and the little ring here is your quest. So if you double click that, it's going to take a moment the first time you launch it in a session, because there's a lot of quests. There's 14,974 that it's loading up into this list. But we're specifically looking for building castles. That's fine. Now, if you double click this, you're going to come in here, and there's going to be a map button if there's a map. And if you open this up, we can see here's all the relevant points that are called out in the data files. And we can see some of that same thing. So we have the location of the quest giver, but we also have these points that are involved in the quest. And so when you have a map like this, where you're going to have to go to each individual spot to get a sense of where they are, and I know about where they are, that's not a problem. But if I want the specificity of there is actually specific spots, and I don't want the client algorithm to draw bubbles around multiples that are close together, I would just like to have all the individual spots. Then I fall back to something like this. Or I walk myself over to each individual one and kind of estimate where that is and translate it, which is probably what I did for the flowers for Midsummer, because that was a while ago, and my process has changed since then. But that's that. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that here because we want to go ahead and pick up the next one, which is fishing for advice. Don't know why you'd want advice, but we're going to go ahead and pick that up. Now, as we can see, the quest guide doesn't have anything yet. Oh yeah, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and go to our map, and this one is more complicated because the quest guide is giving you a specific location, but then it's not going to show you the other ones until you complete it. Let's see if Festival Buddy is a little bit more flexible. Fishing for advice. It is going to be more specific, although notice that it's got some jankiness here because you can be around this fishing hole. Apparently there's 2 different spots that'll give you the same effect of you can fish above the waterfall. So we're going to just average that out because they're so close to each other when we're zoomed out that it won't matter. Okay, but same basic thing. We're picking it up from the same place. Then we have the bridge, the west side of the harbor, the waterfall, and the northern channel. Cool. Let's make it. So first thing is, I'm going to say numbers make a lot of sense here. And I'm going to go ahead and open a different one, which is the swimming spots. And we're going to start with that as our base. So, same thing though, we're going to go start out by saying save as and fishing for advice. Save that off. We're going to go ahead and delete the shadows layer because our numbers are in general going to move. And then our number 2, we need to be on the east side of the harbor, or east of that bridge. 3, we need to be on the west side of the harbor, right there. 4, we need to be up at the waterfall, which is around there, but let's take another look. All right, so that's there. They're up there. I feel like that's close enough. 5 is going to be up here off that island, and then 6 is not going to be. There's only 4 points. Okay, so that is good. We do want to go ahead then and let's go ahead and delete these old paths. We're going to go ahead and do another text to path, and then our paths to selection. We're going to grow our selection by 2 so that we can then, in the numbers shadows layer, go ahead and get that drop shadow. At that point, we're going to go ahead and save, export as, and that's going to be fishing for, oh no, this is the wrong place. So we need to be in the, nope. Let's go over. What are you doing? Stop it. Very strange. Resources, quest maps, Midsummer, and then we'll be fishing. Always in the wrong place. Fishing for advice. .tga. Okay, take that default, and then come back in here, and we can go ahead and first come on down here. Fishing for advice. And then we know we're going to replace that with 1, pick up quest. And we could actually include who it's from. So when in doubt, wave at the person or interact with them. And copy their exact spelling from chat. Pick up quest from Makama. Pick up quest from Makama. Pick up quest from Makama. There we go. So we're gonna, pick up the quest, and then 2. And this should be, again, in the data file, so fishing for advice. Find a place to fish in the harbor? No. Maybe. Fish from the pier in the harbor. There we go. Fish from the pier in the harbor. Fish off the pier in the west side of the harbor. number 4, catch a fish near the waterfall above the harbor. And then number 5 is going to be catch a fish in the sandbar, from the sandbar in the north. And then 1 turn in quest. Okay, so that would look something like this. Great. So we have pickup quest at 1, pier, off the pier on the west side, near the waterfall, sandbar on the north, turn in the quest. Perfect. And these strings are very easy to go ahead and grab the French and German equivalents for because they're the entire string, where there's no mix and matching from smaller chunks of string. Which apparently you have to do sometimes. Like in the English guide for Minas Tirith, I had the Houses of Healing, High Halls, Houses of Healing, Houses of Remedy. Like I was calling out the name of the area, those buildings and the specific building. But at no point in the game files could I find them referred to in that way. Like Houses of Healing, High Halls. That's just not what they did. And so, yeah, you had to find both of those independently and smush them together. And hopefully that works. Okay, so that's fishing for advice. Does she have anything else for us? Offering to help. Of course she does. That one's a long one. And in fact, it's so long, I'm going to go ahead and just call this out. So I don't get lost in it. Okay, we're just going to extract that here. Okay, and then for offering to help, let's go see what Festival Buddy has for us. Okay, that is not bad. That looks correct. Okay. I am not going to have a map for the cracked flag in though. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by saving this off. So offering to help. That was the name, right? Yeah. And then again, we're going to go ahead and reset the shadow layer. There we go. Then start moving things around. So 1 is fine. 2 is kind of where 1 is. So we're just gonna not worry about that. 2 is gonna be where 3 is. Whoops. So 2 is gonna come over to here to 3. Almost. 3 is gonna come on down to the western side of here. Just next to that little pointy bit. Yeah, that's fine. 4 is going to come down and be the suitor. Just off that tree. Oh, let's turn off the satellite layer. That's closer than I was thinking. And then 5 is over there. So let's nudge 3 just slightly. 4 and 5. Where's 5 in relation to that? Yeah, it's all pretty crowded. That'll be good enough. Cool. Now the downside is being maybe a little unspecific about the locations of the rug to sit on. Let's play around with this though. This is a starting point, and then assuming it is right, which maybe it's a little early for that. Let's go ahead and text a path, paths to selection, and then select grow by 2, and go ahead and get those drop shadows back in there. So we're going to go ahead and export, and that's going to be offering to help. Take that default. And then in offering to help, let's go ahead and get the image string first. And then 1, pick up quest, don't copy when I could paste. 2, and there's a lot here. So, talk to the thirsty beachgoer. Find a refreshing beverage. Bring the refreshing beverage to the thirsty beachgoer. And that's not even 2. Oh, oops. That should still be at 1. Alright, 2. Alright, talk to the relaxing holidayer. Find the relaxing holidayer's book. And bring the relaxing holidayer her book. 3. Talk to the unsettled sightseer, because they haven't settled on there. I get it. Find a cushion for the sightseer. I'm really hoping this area scrolls. Bring the cushion to the unsettled sightseer. 4. Talk to the hopeful suitor. Find a picnic basket. Bring the empty picnic basket to the cook, Saklem. Pick up the filled basket. And finally, bring the filled basket to the hopeful suitor. And then 5? Yeah, sure. Talk to the queer merrymaker. Bury the queer merrymaker in the sand. Bury the queer merrymaker some more. Turn in quest. Okay, let's take a look at what that looks like. So, offering to help. We do have a scroll area. I think I'm going to default to including all the information because it's so much easier to translate to other languages. And then if anyone is like, oh man, that was so much, what are you doing? We can come back. Now, the background for this is still the Minas Tirith, and I think that's interesting because, again, it's based on the idea that there's an area or a primary area for a festival. I don't think we're going to bother with an alternate background depending on which quests you've picked up, but it's a possible improvement for the future. All right, so that's offering to help. Great. Let's pop back in and start picking up things there. Hello, sleepy cat. Okay. So, Daroma. Housekeeping. This all takes place here, but we do have a map of here. So, let's go ahead and think about what that map would look like. And we're going to start by, let's save as, and this is going to be housekeeping. And then we want to go ahead and almost certainly get rid of those drop shadows, and we're going to actually hide the numbers for right now. And instead, we are going to go ahead and we want the map of the cracked flagon. So let's close out of these things and come back into our maps. And oh, that's an instance map, isn't it? What a great question. Can we get in here? Yeah, that'll do. Let's go ahead and get rid of the markers. And then we can go ahead and snip this and squeeze it on down as necessary. I did not do that correctly. Okay, so we've grabbed that. What we want to do, I'll probably just close that. We're going to copy this. We're in the housekeeping, so we're going to go ahead and paste that layer, and we're going to try mapping it in each direction. So we're going to scale the layer to a 262. That's actually fine, probably. And we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's fine. And then yeah, that's all good. So we're going to go ahead and layer crop layer to not crop to content. That's a silly thing. Layer to image size. Okay, so now we have our cracked flagon, and we have our further. Okay, great. So where are we? Well, we can look at here, and we are just up there. So our number 1 is going to come back visible, and it's going to be about right there. Maybe a little bit higher up. Okay, and then the rooms, well, we don't actually need numbers here, do we? We need dots. I should really save those dots. Okay, so we're going to call that dot number 1. Our neighbor has a very manual way of retracting their awning over their backyard. And this time of night it just goes wobble, 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 wobble. That's very funny. I don't imagine it gets picked up on the microphone, but I hear it. Okay, so we want to go ahead and mark the 3 bedrooms. And by 3, I mean 4. Where we are doing cleaning. And let's go ahead and kill these paths. Text to path. Path to selection. Grow that selection by 2. Go to the shadows. Go back to the shadows. And there we go. We've got that. So we'll go ahead and export that as our housekeeping. There we go. And then we're going to come on in here and find our housekeeping. Boy, I did not put these in alphabetical order, did I? It's more in order that I pick them up in. Well, housekeeping. Okay, great. So here, pick up quest from, who are you? Roma. So I'm going to wave it to Roma. Copy that, paste. And then we're going to go ahead and come into the data files, and this is housekeeping. It's not housekeeping because that's the other file. There we go. Housekeeping. So we want to make the beds. We want to scrub the floors. Now this is slightly complicated. It's a partial string, but we just get to ignore all the numbers, and that's fine. Turn in quest. Okay. We have housekeeping. Pick up quest from Roma. Make the beds. I should say in the cracked flagon. Is it the cracked flagon? Yeah. The cracked flagon. Okay. Pick up the quest from the Roman, the cracked flagon, make beds, scrub the floors, turn in quest. That works. Collect seashells. Well, we can right click, but we can see that there's indistinct blobs that show us where the seashells can be. You know, I've never picked up seashells from this part of the island because I've never intentionally gone over to these areas because they're so far away. Okay, so we want to start by coming back into here. We don't want to be in the cracked flag anymore, but we'll save the cracked flag in. And you know what? We're going to save dot number 0 hidden. We're going to go ahead and delete the other dots for a bit. Number is going to be over in the cracked flagon. This is what happens if you don't delete those shadows. They just stay behind. They're not bound to the same location as where they came from. Gesundheit. What's up, little one? You gonna join me? Okay. We have a cat on the cushion next to me. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and come into LOTRO Companion, and we're going back into the quest viewer, and this is going to be Seashells by the Seashore. It is not. It is going to be Tidal Treasures. I guess this one was already taken. Tidal Treasures. We're going to come in here to its map. And this is why I don't want to go out and find all of these myself. So we're going to do an approximation. Oh, don't forget, we need to save as. It's going to be Tidal Treasures. Okay. So we're going to make a new layer group, dots, and that'll be dot number 1. So our first dot is going to be you know what? I'm going to move that off the screen so that I can still see it and not have to go back and forth. But that's what it looked like. And you know what? I'm going to turn off the satellite map because I'm not looking at the satellite map. Maybe I should be. Okay, so this one around there. And the dots are, of course, much bigger than the seashells. Oh, that's going to be annoying. All right. Oh, LOTRO Companion. Why is your window management so 1990s? Oh, it's written in Java. That's why. That's probably not fair, but it is an older way of doing the UI in Java. Okay, so, but bear in mind that's going to be what I'm looking at over on the left screen as sort of a guide to where these things should go. So duplicate, we're going to move this up. It's going to be, oh, got to turn off that satellite. It's going to be just up here. And then we're just going to keep duplicating and moving. Duplicating and moving. Duplicating and moving. The next one's actually really close to it, so we'll just move it like that. So duplicate, move that up there. Duplicate and put that right there. There are 3 on the island up here, and I think, yeah, sure. Duplicate, duplicate, just to give that sense of it. We'll go ahead and keep going. So there's one right there. Oh, wow. There's ones off the map. You know, there's 3 more up here, and I'm not even going to tell people about them because I don't want them going there. But I will go ahead and say yes, there is seashell over here. But technically there's 4 there and another 5 further along the coast. There's a dock up there too. We're just going to call that good. That's 13 of them. You only need 8. And so we're going to save that. Oh, we do want to put our drop shadow back. So delete that. We'll go ahead and text to path. Path to selection. Grow that selection. And then we're going to go ahead and put down a shadow. Now, if someone does know of a better way to do drop shadows, let me know. But that's a way. And we're going to go ahead and export this as Tidal Treasures. Take that default. Great. So we're doing title treasures now. Let's go ahead and first get our image path. Title treasures. And then in that, we're going to start with pick up quest from the Roma in the cracked flagon. And then title treasures. Collect seashells. Fair enough. Turn and quest. So let's take a look at that. We're back here. Let's close that. Unload and load. There's our title treasures. And we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 distinct little dots. I think that's going to be good enough for our purposes. The most important part for me is that it tells me that do not even think about this if you're on the south or western ends of the island. Only think about it when you're on the northeast, because that's where you get the highest collection of these seashells. Specifically, if I am not fishing, then I will start here and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all on the coast, none on the island, and don't even bother with the one that's over here. And if I am fishing, then I'm going to that island with 3 of them, so I only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I don't need the last 3 over there. Those are the only seashells that exist for me. The rest of them might as well not be there. But you know, tastes vary and all that. Okay, great. So we have that. Gathering guests I'm not going to worry about. I think it's pretty straightforward where in each location to find the guests. Although the wrapper, it might be good to pull that information from the wiki. So gathering guests. Yeah, all right. We'll do it. Oh, it's not even in here. Okay, we're not going to do it. I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. We've got too much to do already. All right, Asaklam, please, assisting the cook. So, assisting the cook is probably going to be another dot one, because they're just all over. So let's come on in here and say save as, and we're going to go assisting the cook. And yeah, this is more dots. And number 1's in the right location, because it's in the cracked flagon, so we're good with that. And then the dots are probably going to be pretty different. So let's go ahead and pull up that map, and I'll do the same thing where I'll bring it on screen so we can see it, but then I'll keep it on a different screen while actually filling in the dots. Okay, so this is what we want to match. So we're going to go ahead and find these things. Now, I think different colors for the different things would be good. And that's going to be possible because in LOTRO Companion, you can click on it, or sorry, hover over it, and we can see, assisting the cook, objective 1, collect juicy lemons. So we know that one's a lemon tree, we know that one's fresh herbs, and so on. So I'm going to say that we are going to go ahead and call it herb number 1, lemon number 1, and olive number 1. We're going to delete the rest of these because I want the names to be fixed. And we're going to duplicate, and we know there's at least 4 of each, but there might be a few more than that. So I'm going to start with 4 of each. Okay, so we've got all the dots that we might need, maybe. And we're going to go ahead and start by getting rid of that satellite map because I don't have it. And we're going to start on over here. Oh, no, I should have fixed the colors first. Okay, so herbs, that's green, that's fine. Lemon, oh no. Okay, olives. Olives are black at some point in their growth. We're going to fix the olives by making them black in the middle. I know they probably grow green, but so do herbs, so there's not much I can do about that. Lemons, we're going to go ahead and space these out so I can see them all. And lemons, we're going to go ahead and say are yellow, but it'd be nice if it was a slightly different yellow. Maybe. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so lemon, 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 and lemon. Great. And then the herbs will just still be green. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to just have this over here so I don't have to keep whipping back and forth because I don't like that effect either. And then we're going to start with the first one here, which is a juicy lemon. So that is in this little green area here. The one next to it, that is a fresh herb. So we're going to take an herb down to here. This one is another fresh herb. So that's going to be there. There's two things to their left. That's a lemon and a fresh herb. So lemon, that's going to be there. And herb is going to be right there. Okay. So on the north side of the road going upper left, we have olives and then herbs. So that's our first olive. So we're going to bring it down to here. And then herb number 4 is going to be just back there. Okay. And then a little further on the road, we have a handful of olives. So that must be here. All right. Further to the west are 2 possibilities. There's herbs and lemons. So we need an herbs number 5. So that comes on over here. I've never gotten that one because there's these 4 herbs right next to these this area. And so I'll just finish off there. All right, lemon number 3. Great. Coming up here, oh wow, there's a lot more than I normally get. Gives options, I guess. We need a handful of olives up by the waterfall. That's going to be just about here. Next we have, I click on it to get to the tooltip, juicy lemons. Okay, next up, again, I've already had them, but there's more herbs. Bonkers. And then this last olive is not in the right location. Okay. Or is it? No, it should be there. Okay. Moving more northeast, we have another olives. So we're going to duplicate that. I normally get that one. Okay, and then there's a cluster of 4 more things on the west side. And I do normally get one of these. Another olives. Okay, so duplicate that. Bring it on over, and it's going to be just there at the bottom. Coming on up, we have herbs, lemon, and herbs. Okay. Okay. So we need 2 more herbs. And another herb. Great. So that is all of these, I think 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then over here we have 6 plus 5 is 11 plus 8 is 19. So that's all good. So we're going to go ahead and export this as assisting the cook.tga. Take that default, and then come on in and get assisting the cook. We're going to go ahead and get that English tag in the right spot. And that'll again just be assisting the cook.tga. And then 1 pick of quest from, and this is Saklam, so we're just going to wave at Saklam so we can get the exact spelling out from Saklam in the cracked flagon. I don't think that T should be capitalized. So we're going to find all instances of that and replace it with a lowercase. Okay, great. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and use the quest. So assisting the cook. And we want collect fresh herbs, green. Collect juicy lemons, yellow. And collect a handful of olives, black. All right. Turn in quest. So that's about what we want from that. Let's take a look. Okay, so pick up the quest from Socklam and the Cracked Flagon. Collect fresh herbs, green. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Collect juicy lemons, yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then handful of olives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. That looks good. And was that the right numbers of them though? 6 olives, 5 lemons, 8 herbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And is that what I saw? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I missed one of those in 4. Okay, great. So, that is assisting the cook. Great. We've actually picked up a lot of the quests. There's only 5 more quests to document here. Or 6, or 4. It depends how you count the cats, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and do a good place for a sandcastle. Takes so long to build. Okay. We're going to talk to the thirsty beachgoer. We're going to run back in here. And this is offering help, more or less. Now, the quick guide has a feature to kind of flip to the next, the map of the next objective. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but it is there. We have it for Midsummer as well. All right, bring the refreshing beverage to the thirsty beachgoer. Done. And then we're going to go pick up the next 4 quests. This is, well, 3 plus 1. And then we'll have to fly a kite, and then we'll be done. We are rapidly approaching 2 hours of stream time. Time flies when you're trying to finish things up before the festival goes away. So we're going to be doing this for a little while, but yeah, if you do have any questions, comments, concerns about plugins specifically, or Lord of the Rings Online in general, don't forget to toss them into the chat before you forget what the question was. Okay, so Magordo, a flock of seagulls. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of everything else for a moment. We've got a flock of seagulls, great. So we can see that we have a little blob there, and that tells me that we're losing some precision. So instead of running around and chasing them, we're going to go to LOTRO Companion. Flock of seagulls. Great. So the map looks like this. Now, I don't know if we have enough resolution to really benefit from getting all of them, but we are just going to go ahead and highlight that they're all in town here. We don't care about seagulls that are outside of town. There are seagulls, at least one, on the racetrack, and I don't think this works. Scott says, this is looking great. Just came home from Jazz Festival. And hello. Well, hello, Skagosi. So we're going to go ahead and document these. Like I said, I'm just going to have this just off screen so that I can look back and forth between them. But let's come on over into here. This is, again, going to be dots, going to be dot based. So we're going to go ahead and save this as a flock of seagulls. Great. And we only want to keep the green dots. So we're going to go ahead and, oops, delete all the weirdly colored ones, delete. And this is going to be dot number 1. And 1 in the shadow is wrong. So we want to go ahead and remove that shadow and move 1 on over to, well, where are we? Just west of that building. So we're here now. Now we can go ahead and just go ahead and text a path to selection, grow that selection, and Get that drop shadow back, and we're done with that. So now we're going to go ahead and do dots. Now, here's the problem is there are so many of these things that it might be worth... All right, I'll lay out a couple of them, but I'm strongly considering making a smaller version of this dot for this purpose. All right, so... Okay, so the next one is there. There's two at the north end here. There's one at the south end. I'm doing the ones I get first as part of my, this one there. There's one at the north end of this bridge. There is one down here. There's another one here. And there's another one there. Okay, there's this one. And there's one just at the start of the horse race. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 dots. So we're good. We'll go ahead and export that. And that is a flock of seagulls. And we're going to come on in here and get to a flock of seagulls. And then, so pick a quest from, who are you? Magordo. So go ahead and copy that, pick up quest from Magordo, and then from the quest a flock of seagulls, we are just looking for chase off the irksome seagulls. Turn in quest. Okay, so it'll look something like that. Alright, pick up quest, chase off, turn in quest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great. And you only need 8 of them, so super easy. Alright. So that one's done. So for Cat Conundrum, we only need... Did we actually... Yeah, we're only going to list the locations for the cats for Cat Conundrum. We're not going to spell it out separately for yes to cats or no to cats. So, Cat Conundrum, we need a map. And let's go ahead and also pick up yes to cats so we can actually see that on the map. So, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locations for cats. Is that right? It is right. Okay. Feels like fewer. And so for yes to cats, I think I'm going to call out which one is where, because if you're missing the sleepy cat, it does you no good to not know where the other ones are. So we're going to go ahead and delete. No, sorry. We're going to save as first, just in case. And this was Cat Conundrum. Cat Conundrum, yeah. But technically, it's yes or no to cats. That's funny. Okay, so again, we have this map. One of them is the quest giver, and the other 6 are where we're going. Okay, so Cat Conundrum. We're just going to call it that, but this is technically for yes and no. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go ahead and delete those, and then hide the dots. Number 1 is correct, we're going to leave that. But now we need other numbers. And in fact, let's go ahead and delete all the shadows so we don't have a double shadow for 1. Alright. NPC 1. And then we're going to go ahead and start documenting. Well, that's not going to work. We want that to be in white. So number 2 is going to be at the north end of this bridge. Number 3 is going to be over here. That's in the entryway, so that's the sleepy cat. Number 4, which I think is the smelly cat, is over here by the race. Number 5, which would be the sassy cat, just on the way out of town. And then, I don't know the other ones. I think this is Slinky and the other one is Skinny. Maybe this is Skinny. Okay, so it's going to be something like that. So if we went ahead and, well, let's delete those other paths. All right, text a path, and if we path to selection, and we'll go ahead and grow that path, grow that selection, sorry, by 2. And we're going to go ahead and do a black outline there. Okay, so we can go ahead and save and then export as cat conundrum. Great. I might regret doing the numbers without doing the text first, actually. Let's see why that is. Cat conundrum. Okay. Pick up quest from Magordo. Number 1. 2. And so cat conundrum, yes. Oh, I do want all of this to be in my search. All right, Scruffy cat. Oh, not there. All right, so I'm just going to call out which ones are where, not what to do with them. So Slinky cat, Skinny cat, smelly cat, and then it doesn't have to be the order that it is in the data files, but I'm curious how this corresponds. Might be actually alphabetical. Nope, it's not alphabetical. Okay, so that would look like this. Cat conundrum. Oh, we don't have the image yet? Could have sworn I saved it. Resources, quest map, Midsummer. Did I misspell it? Probably. What did I do? Image is in the wrong place. That's why it's indented. Okay, so the real question is that at all right? We have a Scruffy cat at number 2, so that is fine. I'm going to start chasing seagulls by accident. Alright, this Slinky cat would be number 3. Yeah, let's go ahead and just make this match the data files. So, Scruffy Slinky. All right, number 2 is Scruffy. Number 3 should be Slinky. All right, number 4 Skinny would be this one then. Yeah, okay. Which is currently 6. 4 Skinny. I know the next one is... Okay, Smelly is up there where 4 was. So it's kind of north, south, west, east. Alright, number 6 should be Sleepy Cat. Alright, this order is weird. And then number 7 is the Sassy Cat. Alright, so that's fine. I notice that our shadows are all messed up now, a little bit messed up. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of those. We can get rid of the old paths as well. So, text to path, path to selection, go ahead and grow that selection by 2, and then in the shadow layer, set down those drop shadows. All right, so that's Cat Conundrum. Let's go ahead and export, rewrite that, and then in LOTRO, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. Now, I don't actually care. I don't want you to do it in that order, but that is the order that it appears in the quest, and that's fine. And is that true? Scruffy, Slinky, Skinny, Smelly, Sleepy, Sassy. Great. So that is all of them except eyesores and kites. So let's go ahead and look at eyesores drifted ashore. So that's cleaning up 6 flotsam on the beach. It's just a big blob, so that's not great. So we're gonna make use of LOTRO companion. Excuse me, LOTRO companion for that. Eyesores drifted ashore. So it's going to be a map that looks like this. Quest giver is there, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've never realized that there was a flotsam down there, and I'm not going to start now. But we're going to go ahead and save this as eyesores drifted ashore. And then we're going to be doing dots. So first of all, we're going to go ahead and delete those. So that's the NPC, number 1. We'll get rid of all of the shadows. And then we can just set back path selection and then select grow just the path for 1. And we'll go ahead and put that back. But then we can get rid of all those. Okay, so we have dots that we can use, and we are going to use them for the flotsam. So the first one is somewhere around here. Let me see, where did that go? I'm gonna move this aside. And same basic idea. First one's here, and we're gonna go ahead and make 7 of these. Duplicate, duplicate, Shift Control D, huh? Great. And then we'll just drag them. Number 2 is just past the NPC. Number 3, just around there. Number 4, about there. Number 5, about there. 6 is about here. And 7, there, of all places. Off the map, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it's there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and export as eyesores drifted ashore. I've misspelled it. I don't think that was useful to cancel. I should have just renamed it. That's okay. Cool. So we've got the image. Now let's go ahead and get that in here. So for this, we're going to pick up the quest from Gordo. And then It's just getting them. So eyesores drifted ashore. Clean up the flotsam on the beach. Return, turn in quest. Alright, so let's take a look at that. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possible locations. Don't get one of them, it's terrible. And just to be sure, did we miss any? We did not. I was just making sure there wasn't any that had drifted in from the north or the west. I appreciate it's at least consistent. It would all come from the same direction. Okay. Let's go fly a kite. That's the last one. Oh, we can get the scruffy cap. No, I fell down. Okay. Tell you what, let's just go around here doing what we normally do. Find a place to fish in the harbor. Okay. Oh, you know what? I should get my Fateful Toolkit on. Okay. I found a place to fish in the harbor. Great. Redhead was pointing out that these glowing circles disappear if you catch your fish, which I believe, but I can't say I've noticed that because while working on the guide, if the fish objective turns green, then I got it. So I don't spend a lot of time looking at the sparkling thing after I start pulling the fish out of the water. But let's take a look at this. Alright, that's green, and it does indeed go away. Well spotted, little redhead. Alright, we're going to scare off that. Alright, there's the skinny cat. And we need to take Let's Go Fly a Kite. Okay, let's go fly a kite. We pick it up, and... Oh, and cat conundrum? That's very funny. So, let's go fly a kite. Let's go ahead and search for this quest. Ah, that would be a lowercase a. Anyway. Alright, so the LOTRO companion map for this has the 5 distinct locations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the NPC. Let's see what the game has. Oh, those are much more dispersed because... Oh no, I am just looking at multiple quests. Great. Okay, that is very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they correspond. Lovely. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get started with this. So we're going to go ahead and save as, and it's going to be Let's Go Fly a Kite. And we can export as Let's Go Fly a Kite. And I'm just doing that to save the name. We're going to re-export once we fix this. Now, there are different strings for each of the different locations, and that might be useful. So let's start with the strings and then see how we feel. Pick up the quest from someone who's not Magordo. Anyone. Anyone who's not Magordo. Or in this case, Telegar. Let's wave at you. And then we're going to go into the data files. So let's go fly. Fly kite in the southern beach. Fly a kite near the southern cove. Fly a kite at the west end of the harbor. Fly a kite atop the eastern bridge. And fly a kite on the sand in front of the inn. Turn in quest. So let's start with that. And ideally, those would be numbered. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1. Okay. And does that match Southern Cove, Western of Harbor, Eastern Bridge, Sand Front and the End? Okay, great. So let's get an image, and we can go ahead and pull this up. But it won't be the correct map because we're still editing it. But it's a map. So let's fix that. So we need, we're not going to do dots, so we're going to go ahead and delete those. But we are going to do numbers. Now the first number is okay. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the shadows, just because I don't want to double shadow on one and make it look weird if it does that. No, number 1. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and... No, that doesn't actually matter. Okay, what were the strings? Well, we can do this. On the southern beach. And near the southern cove. So the first one is around here. Boy, I need that to be more consistent. So around here, and then we'll just scooch it up a little bit. And then we have over here. Oh, that's a little bit too far over. Great. And then what? West end of the harbor, and then the eastern bridge. Okay, middle of the bridge. And then the sand just outside the end down here. Okay, that's great. So we're going to go ahead and right click text to path. We're going to take those paths and paths to selection. We're going to grow the selection by 2 pixels and then set our color to black and go to the shadows. And what have I done? What tool did I select? Not the fill. There we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and re-export that to Let's Go Fly a Kite. And then in game, we should be able to see Let's Go Fly a Kite. Fantastic. So at this point, all of the quests should have something. Let's go double check in the data files. We can see that we have added something for each of these further home quests. Okay, so we're going to pause on the actual doing of the... okay, I'll talk to the relaxing holiday. Maybe make a sandcastle. So we're going to go back over to our source control now, and we're going to take a look at that. And can try to capture all these changes. But first, let's go ahead and close out of the image file. So, added quest descriptions, and images for further home quests. Cool. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, oh, and yeah, 13 for the In Celebration Midsummer. So we're going to go ahead and add those. And then we've got our actual images here. Okay. Yeah, I like what we did with In Celebration of Midsummer. That's a good mix. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take that. And then don't need those, don't need those. And then, yeah, we have all of that. So we'll take that, commit those 26 files, push it out. I know, Snafutu, you said, how do you update, if you're still in chat, you said, how do I update Festival Buddy 2? Your version is 2.15. And I'm looking at it, and the released version on LOTRO interface is 2.22. So, Snafutu, if you're still in chat, go look and see if you can download an updated version. Man, I do not even remember putting out that version, but it's out, so that's good. Okay, so what do we got? That's test, that's test, that's test. Okay, great. So, I'm a little nervous about save file updates. So what I'm going to do is go find a version of my save file. Am I going to worry about that? I should worry about that. Yeah, let's find a version of my save file. Let's first take a look at what we have right now. So if we go into Documents, the Lord of the Rings Online, go into Plugin Data, My Account, My Server, My Character, there is a Festival Buddy Settings plugin data. If we pop that open, we're going to see things nested. Well, first of all, there should be a version in here. Version. It's a version 2.2. Great. But the way things are nested right now, we have them listed under the quick guide for those instances. And I'm not super thrilled about using numbers here, but there's a chicken and egg problem that I was attempting to circumvent. And so maybe someday I'll change those to textual names. But at the point that we were dealing with these, we didn't have access to. Yeah, in the default settings for setting up this structure, it's loaded the file that's in is loaded before the quick guide files, and there's ways around that, but I chose the easy way of just using numbers. But it does mean that if we ever want a different guide to be there instead of Minas Tirith as the first one, like maybe it's Bree and Minas Tirith and further home, this will be a problem. Not insurmountable, but definitely a problem. Okay, so this is all fine. And what we want to do is go ahead and unload this and replace this file with one that is not 2.2. And so what I'm going to do is go into my backups. Well, is that a good place? Let's go into a different set of backups. So, different drive, Documents, the Lord of the Rings Online, plugin data. Great. So, backups. And I've mentioned this occasionally, but I highly recommend making periodic backups every month or two, depending on how frequently you use plugins and if you do any plugin development. Just make a full set of backups. These things are not that large relatively. I have a lot of stuff in here that I shouldn't, and it's 80 megabytes per file, per folder. And this is on a 2 terabyte drive, so 80 megabytes out of 2 terabytes leaves approximately 2 terabytes. It's a rounding error. So yeah, if you do this a few million times, it adds up, but okay. Okay, you can't do it a million times. You do this a few 10,000 times and it starts to make real numbers. But I also, I have backups going to 2021. So if I need to step back in time, super easy to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into time here. Whoops. And we're going to come back to before 2026. And I'm going to come into Peregrine and Tasha, sure. And we're going to copy over Festival Buddy settings. Now, one thing we can note about this is there's should be a version. It's version 2.1. When we look at these quick guides, we can see everything's just underneath Midsummer because there wasn't that idea of nesting. There's also quick guide progress. Each of these only has a single layer there. And what we want to do is go ahead and just load and make sure that everything's good. So we're going to go ahead and load Festival Buddy and unload so we can see what changes here. And what we see is that Spring now is nested, Midsummer's nested with 1 and 2. The other ones in Midsummer did not get turned on though. What's up with that? Yeah, there was a thing. Okay, let's see if that actually makes a difference. So we're going to copy that over. We're going to load this up, and if we immediately go over to options, all of these are listed as not on, and I don't like that. I thought I had a thing in place for that. Let's go take a look. And this is part of that function, so it's like 198 in main. Let's see. Okay, I think we're done with this. I'm going to copy this out, or sorry, comment this out. Okay, so going to 2.2 is this update function. Great. And prior save formats. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this note to myself is that if we don't have a save file, then we essentially just walk through all of the update processes, even though the default settings should not need that anymore. And do I have an answer for that? That is quick and clever and correct. Okay, so what we were doing is saying, yeah, that's the problem, Little Redhead. Quick, clever, and correct pick 2. That is the ultimate problem. So the problem we're trying to solve is that if the file is missing, then this will get populated automatically, or should get populated automatically from the default settings. Nope, I don't want that. From the default settings. And so the default settings have this. Oh, that's quick progress. So it should come in like this. So if what's at Midsummer, if there's more than 3 items, then it needs to be reassigned to 1 level lower. Okay. So if that needs to be updated, then okay. Forgot ID in the quick guides for that festival. So that's the problem. We're resetting it. But then we're pulling in the settings that we copied off. Let's see what we're actually getting rid of. Maniac says, "Hi there. Hello. Welcome to me struggling to understand code that I've written." Okay, so let's go ahead and reset the contents of that file. So we're going to restore from that old backup. Great. And then let's go ahead and reload. And we can see that old settings. Why are we getting called so much? That should be concerning. So Maniac says, may I ask a question? Of course, though I can't say that I might know the answer. What's meant with the last rivers? Will this be a last expansion of a setting, or are there rivers which carry this specific name? I don't know if I know the specific reference that you're making. Is that what they're calling what they're testing on Bullroar right now? Let's see, Bullroar. The update 49 is in good company. So, and the update 48 was a glorious hunt. So I don't know if I know what you mean by last rivers. Can you clarify what that is? Oh, or do you mean the stream by scenario, which is the last rivers of Eriador? I think he's been exploring on stream all of the rivers of Eriador, and this is maybe the last one before he needs to move on to Ravanian? Ah, okay. Yeah, Maniac saw this on the matter. Yeah, so one of the employees of SSG, which I am not, I do not work for Standing Stone Games, so I have no insider knowledge for Lord of the Rings Online. But a few of the employees do stream from time to time. Scenario is a world designer, so not writing the code on the engine, but making the helping the world take shape. And so Scenario's been doing sort of these retrospectives of walking through various parts of Middle Earth and talking about the design challenges of making these become real within the world of Lord of the Rings Online. And so I think that is what the last rivers of Eriador are. Is previous streams were other rivers of Eriador, and they're running out of rivers. So maybe they'll move on to Ravanian or Rohan or Gondor next for other river strolls. So that's what that is. Just looking over the forums, this is, I think, a post for a casual stroll through the last rivers. And if we come back through to here, if we search for casual stroll through world design, it's just titles of streams. Maniac says, okay, sorry, my mistake. I jumped in too late, so I missed some potential explanation. No worries. I am theoretically closer to stopping streaming than starting. We'll see how long it takes. But I was trying to delve into this last thing before I call this plugin good. But no, you are, of course, welcome to ask questions. You're welcome to stick around if you are interested in Lord of the Rings Online, or plugins, or both. Okay, I'm a little concerned why this function is being called so many times. And so one thing that we can do is, well, first of all, did I unload this? Let's unload it. Let's go ahead and replace that old data file. And then let's go look up how we do a stack trace, which is to say what functions called us here. So we're going to go to turbine engine, I think, and get call stack. There we go. So we want to call turbine.engine.getCallStack and print out that result. So we're going to do that. Turbine.shell.writeLine, and then turbine.engine.getCallStack. Let's see if that does what we want. And then I just want to make it very obvious where we are, so I'm going to put some /LOCs into chat. Okay, so we're gonna load this up and scroll back to those /LSCs. All right, so we're in main, load settings file character. Okay, that makes sense. Load settings file character. But then, are we in a loop? Is that what we're doing? We're in a loop. No, that's the wrong place. So festival, old settings. Winnipeg says, hi, may I ask something as well? Of course. I'm doing my own thing here, but it's very easy to distract me. Is there any command to move my character further away from the camera? So, camera controls, depending on what you're looking for. So if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, then rotating that scroll wheel the top towards the screen will act to get the camera closer to your character, and rotating turning the wheel so the top moves away from the screen will place your camera further away from the character. And there is a minimum and maximum that you can do that to. This is the maximum distance I can be away, but that's the theoretical maximum. If there's an obstruction like the wall of this building, it'll make the camera go closer up to that solid object, and then it'll snap back again. So sometimes if you're in a crowded environment, maybe I like to zoom in a little bit so I avoid some of that snapping back and forth. Just a moment. So if you scroll in far enough, you will change from a third person to a first person view. And then there's no more zooming in, but if you zoom out again, you'll move the camera further away. There are some keyboard shortcuts for various positions of the camera. So if you go to, I don't know, person, key mapping. Yeah, okay. Toggle first, third person. Great. That's what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can figure out where that is. Camera. Okay, it's the very bottom. Of course it is. So the very bottom, we can see some keybinds that you can use for this if you do not have a mouse wheel. So for instance, if I turn my numlock on, I can use 9 to pan in and 7 to pan out. We can pitch up and down. And what else do we have? Yeah, camera left, camera right, pitch up, pitch down, pan out, pan in. The star button on your numpad can also toggle first person. So if you need to go into first person mode really fast, you can run around for a little bit and then you can pop right back out of first person mode. And then if you're just like, oh no, my camera's doing all sorts of weird stuff, hit num0, the long one at the bottom, and that'll go back to a sensible default. Does it also fix the angle? Yeah, it does. Okay, so every once in a while my mouse will freak out and I'll end up looking at the sky. 0 just fixes it. All right, Maniac has to jump off because they're in Germany and it's already 10:15. So, well, thanks for stopping by. Feel free to pop in. Every Tuesday I'm here from theoretically around 7:30 to 9:30. We're running long today. All right, well, Winnie, hopefully that was helpful for you. If you have any further questions about the camera, let me know. And if that was not specifically what you were thinking, let me know. There is also a target lock-on mode where if you target something and you're not facing it, you'll sort of turn around to face it. I'm not a big fan of that mode. I find it frustrating more than helpful for me. But if you think that would be useful for you, check out that. So the lock on mode is lock on. Yeah, right. So if I went ahead and set a lock on mode for, oh, I don't know, control that? Yeah, sure. So, oh no, I pressed escape. Oh, I gotta remember to go in and fix that. Okay, um, so I've got the relaxing holonator click. So notice the camera is moving, but if I stop targeting them, I unsnap. So yeah, that's a problem for me more often than not. Now there's also an option to have little dots on the ground that show you where your target is. Let's take a look at that. Really? Oh yeah, target UI settings. There we go. No. Really? Directional selection indicator. Great. So for some reason, I am not seeing it. Maybe because I've got this other one turned on. Normally I see little dots on the ground that lead to my target. Maybe it only does it for hostile targets. Oh, no, there it is. So we can see the little white dots on the ground showing me the direction and of my target, and I guess the hostility of it, because that's white. Music says, it never occurred to me to remove the keybind for that. I accidentally press it from time to time and can never remember how to undo it. Yeah, I don't know what the default keybind was, but I would hit it occasionally, and then I'd be like, why is my camera not behaving? Because, yeah, you have to wrench control of it to look at what you're trying to look at. So it hurt me more than helped me, but I appreciate that it's going to be good for people who want that sort of thing, and that's fine. So I much prefer the directional indicator, though. Like, if I'm looking, yeah, so I've got that seagull target. I'm looking over here. I know where I need to move the camera if I want to be facing that. That's fine. That's good enough for me. So I'm going to come back to the key mapping and remove the toggle target lock on mode because I don't like that. Lock on, and that's the only place it is. Yeah, we're gonna hit accept there. Cool. I think. Winnipeg says, I have the feeling that some characters are closer than others. They're not all the same max distance. Well, I can't speak to that, but what I will say is that when I am playing with a hobbit character, or perhaps a dwarf character, versus a tall person character, man, elf, bjorning, whatever, I do feel like I interact with the game differently. And I don't know if they actually have a different max distance, for instance, but it feels like my character takes up less of the visual space because they are half size. And same thing with running speeds. Like when I'm running around with my hobbit, I feel reasonably zippy. But when I'm running around with a human or an elf, I feel like I'm just lumbering around in this world. It doesn't feel zippy to me. And then I'll go play a game like Valheim, which I'm very fond of, which has a sprint mechanism. And then I come back here and I hit my shift button and nothing happens. It makes me sad. But you know, my Hobbit feels zippy because the same size, or the half-size model has, for gameplay balance purposes, actually does move at the same speed as the tall person. Like I'm gonna, where'd they go? Hey, you, I want to follow you. Oh, you're talking to a cat. All right, like when they run, I can keep up with them, even though by all rights I should be running at half speed or 3/4 speed or whatever. And so the model is half size but moves at full speed compared to a human or whatever, and so for me that feels like the model is very zippy. I like that. I love playing hobbits for multiple reasons. Zippiness, apparent zippiness, is great. I love their charges and their cheers. They're great. I love them. I mean, thematically, maybe it doesn't make sense that all my characters have come from the Shire. You know, in theory, maybe there are fewer wanderers than that, but we would just never hear about them. It's fine. But yeah, it doesn't actually give you any benefits in combat. Like you're not harder to hit because you're smaller in that sense. But the appearance is neat. So Winnipeg, that might be worth playing around with a little bit. Like you can do experiments like if I want to know, I don't care about fishing right now. If I want to know the range of my camera, and I've zoomed all the way out, now I can back up against a solid object and get a sense of, I don't even think that's as solid as I want it to be. I'm going to go over to the end. But I can put myself at my back against a wall and figure out at what point does my camera move away from the wall as opposed to just letting me get further away from the camera. Let's play around with this wall. It's a very solid wall. So we can see the camera is not moving right now. My character is moving. My camera is bobbing up and down just slightly, but the position in the world of my camera is smacked up against a rock wall and can't move any further back. It can rise up slightly as I move away, but at a certain point, it's going to start moving away from that wall. And I'm zoomed all the way out here. Okay, the camera is moving away from the wall, so it's reached its maximum following distance, and we can see where on the ground it was. It was just left of this little crack. So if I log in with a full-size character, I can do that same test and see where does the camera get so far away from my character that it starts following my character as opposed to just being stuck to that wall because it can't go any further back. So you can do that same test between a small person and a tall person and see, is it just an optical illusion, essentially, based on the model being half size, or is there something more to it? So these are things we can, awesome, good idea. I'll try that, says Winnie. Yeah, I mean, it could always be that it's just different for different races, but I think the more likely answer is it just feels that way because the model is so much bigger relative to the size of your screen. But I'd love to hear, like, if I'm still streaming or if you come back next week, let me know what your investigation pans out, because my guess is that it will be essentially identical to margin of error, and the rest of it is just our brains doing funny brain things. But that's, you can play around with the systems in game that allow you to force the camera to be closer than you've asked it to be to test, and that's neat. Okay, so awesome, great question. Thank you so much. I don't mind at all, but it lets me ignore the fact that I'm struggling with a bit of code for a little while. It's great. Okay, so we're in the call stack. We're only getting called once. We're doing Midsummer. Okay. So what's going on here? Aiding stable hands, all of that. That's one. Child treasures, and then we had everything else. Okay. So Yule gets these and the old settings. Yeah. Oh, but the old settings is including all of that nonsense. That's funny. But in theory, we save off the old settings, and then for each quest name and value in the old ones, if the value is Boolean, which it will be for all of those non-table values, and then this part should only be necessary for my characters, this whole table. And I think I said only needed for my test characters. Yeah. So I think actually, if we go ahead and comment that out, and then let this index quest name equals value, and then that one is fine. Okay, so we're going to come back into the game. We're going to go ahead and unload the plugin, assuming it's it wasn't already, and then we're going to come fix these files. Great, and then we're going to come back in here. These are still showing up as not good. Is that because the option, this is done before we load the save file? Could that be it? What's going on with that? Main. Where does this happen? Load data. Load data. But this is draw windows, and draw windows should be the options window as well. Which, I don't know, do we create it first or draw the options window? Options equals that. Get options equal. Okay, so no, we're definitely setting this up. Okay, so load data. So the real question is, why is it getting set up like this? Because if we unload, then we can see Midsummer 2 is empty. That's a problem. But it's missing them completely. Oh. Yes. I know what it is. Great. Thank you for letting me rubber duck at you. So, our aim is to put back any of the quests that were there, but we also need to put back... Sorry, we should restore the quick guide entries that might have been populated, and then we should overwrite them with the other stuff. Okay, great. So for this, if this old settings, if old settings, and we know old settings, oops, looks like, so this is just for the festival. Yeah, okay. Oh, I don't want that. So if old settings of guide ID, if old settings guide ID, so then we want to deep copy that back. Then settings, quick guide, then this thing that we're just initializing, that equals a deep copy of the old settings guide. Okay. Yes. Maybe that's fine. So empty it out, restore it if necessary, and then here, go ahead and update it. All right, that feels really good. Let's see if it even compiles. Not compiles, but loads. Let's see if there's syntax errors. Okay, so we've just replaced that. We're gonna go ahead and load this up. Yes, further home is populated. Excellent. And if we unload now, we can see these are all correctly defaulted to true. Hooray! Okay. Problem solved. Great. Awesome. Phew. So I'm feeling pretty good about the updating code such as it is. I don't like that it has to start from scratch and then go through each of the update processes, but that's a problem for a different day. So we're gonna come back in here. Oh yeah, we can get rid of that. So we can get rid of that, and this. And we should add a few comments here. So that is 1 to 2. Okay. So, duplicate the the wrapper to each of Venus, Tirith, and further home. Okay. Now that the old settings are saved off, start from scratch, copy any defaulted settings in, then overwrite with any previously existing values. Okay, great. That's all lovely. We're going to call that great. Removed test code, weird code for my test characters. And that was this. And this. Because any other character besides mine can't have those further home values. Okay. Tweaked. Fixed an issue with how file format was updated. That was this. Comments. Alright, no, and up. I did not need that anymore either. Okay, so we're down to just our two basic debug things. Great. Now, I think what I'm going to do is probably bring the stream to a close here, so now's a great time to get any last minute questions, comments, concerns in before we do that. And then after I get a bite to eat, I'm going to go ahead and update those texts that we had for German and French, because we were pulling them out of the data files, so that should be very easy to find those. And then I'll be putting out a release. And unfortunately, it's too late for people to make use of the quick guide in this year's Midsummer, but it'll be there day 0 for the next Midsummer, and hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so we were in the quest strings. As it says, looking forward to it. Thank you. What this is going to look like is that, I know it's funny, I haven't translated those to other languages. Well, this would be a first time. Alright, so what that would look like is here we would say German equals whatever, and that would override it. The get string function will look for the requested language, and if not, fall back to English. But it feels like it's nice to provide it where possible. Okay, so that's my plan for tonight, and then I'll be switching back hopefully to deed tracker for next week. I know there's been some updated deeds that people are asking about, including but not limited to the racing deed for this year's Midsummer. I do have it locally. I need to push that out so that other people have it as well. All right. I think we're all caught up with chat, and that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.